Cash Color Cannabis, a high level of conversation, and this episode is sponsored by our delivery buds at Canago. Order from local shops to get the best THC-free CBD consumables, Delta 8, non-medicated skincare products, cosmetics, essential oils, smoking products, and more right to your doorstep. In partnership with Canago, this month all listeners of this show can receive $10 off their first order. Just use promo code CashColor10 at checkout. So download their app on iOS and head to their website, trycanago.com, and see what they have in store for you. Let's be buds. All right, without further ado, I got my guest Nicole Buffong in the building, man. Hey, Nicole.
Hey, Mecca.
This has been a long time. I feel like you definitely haven't been here in a while.
It's been some years, sir.
Yeah, it's been some years.
Yes, it has.
And it's been out the blue. They're like you literally text me and said you're gonna be in the city next week, and I was like, all right, we gotta make something work.
Yes, I missed you last year, so
it's all good. You know how stuff works, man.
Yeah.
We all be so busy, especially in this industry.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
and I don't live in these parts anymore.
No, you out in Vegas now, are you?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
How you like Vegas?
I do. I love it.
Vegas to me is such a weird city because I don't look at it as a city that people actually live in.
Yeah. Most people don't. But the 2 million people or so who serve you at all the resorts and cook your food and they're there.
Yeah, I'm not even sure if I met somebody who's actually from Vegas. Like you were born and raised, went to high school.
I've met a few now, but yeah, it took going there and moving there.
Definitely a transient city, man. Yeah, but you are in Vegas and you just loving it out there.
I am. I'm loving it out there a lot, actually. I don't drink and I don't gamble.
And you love Vegas.
And I love Vegas.
That's why I say
it's fantastic.
You anti almost everything there. You save a lot of money.
Almost, because cannabis is strong there. So, yeah.
Let's get into that. Well, first off, before we even get started, man, please introduce yourself and tell people what you do.
Okay, so my name is Nicole Buffong. Mm-hmm. I am the National Program Community Director for Minorities for Medical Marijuana.
Yeah.
We are a 501c3, an international nonprofit organization focused on advocacy and education within the cannabis space. So we have 27 chapters nationwide, and we are in 4 countries now. We're just launched in Belize, in the UK, Canada, and Jamaica, yeah.
I didn't know they had a UK M for MM.
Yeah. We're out there.
They're a gang now. They're spread out, man. Hey, Roz. Roz is a god.
Yes, man. And CashColorCannabis is one of our media partners.
Yes. You know, I've done a lot of things with M for MM simply because Roz, I'm a big fan of Roz. Roz has done so much, like literally for us since I met her. Like she's definitely been like one of those.
I would not be sitting on your couch right now if it was not for Roz McCarthy. So shout out to Roz.
I agree. I agree. There's a lot of things that
done a lot for
Roz
me.
has definitely brought to the game, especially M for MM.
Right.
But how did you find yourself connected with M for MM?
So after getting diagnosed with HIV in 2017, I was looking for ways to be involved in the industry. Mm-hmm. So I met Coach first, Coach Harris. Did
he cook for you when you first met him?
Yes, of course he did. Of course, that's how you get brought into the family.
Yeah.
Georgia Hemp Association. Shout out to Coach and Alexis. So I met Coach first, and Coach was talking about this woman Roz, and then I did my research and found M for MM, and I was like, oh, I need to meet her, and I saw my cousin in a picture with her on Instagram. And I called my cousin in Boston. She lives in Boston. Oh. And I said, you know this lady? She was like, yeah, I know Roz. Let me get you introduced. And the first phone call lasted an hour and a half. And it's been history in the making ever since then.
That's wild, man.
Yeah.
You enjoy your time there?
Yeah. No, I launched a chapter for M for MM in 2017 here in Georgia. And then I launched the chapter for M for MM in 19 in Nevada. And the last year and a half, I was the Western Regional Director, managing 9 states in the region for the organization.
That's a lot of work, man. How do you balance all that with your own personal life?
It's lovely. It's actually a beautiful marriage because my personal brand is as a consultant. So the work that I do for MM just kind of blends well with Purple Plant Magic. And so Roz, that's one of my favorite things about Roz, because she never wants you to hide your own brand while you're doing work for MM. You know, most of us are volunteers. So most of us are, not getting paid to do this work. Our state directors don't get paid. They just have to be passionate and love this work and want to uplift and empower their communities. And so, it's pretty dope that I can marry the two. It doesn't stop me from building one or the other.
Yeah, I mean, y'all definitely do a great job, and I'm sure y'all do an amazing job. You know what I mean? Like, you're definitely doing, you highlight you do a lot to highlight not only just people of color in the industry, but help amplify voices.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing I do appreciate about M for MM. So you out here, I remember when I first met you, you was out here in Atlanta.
Yes.
But like we just
I
mentioned.
just launched the chapter
When
here
we
in
just
Georgia.
mentioned,
Yeah.
now you in Las Vegas. So how did that transition even happen?
Here as an advocate, I was here working with the patient bill here, the medical bill here, and I just saw that it was taking a long time.
It's still taking a long time.
I could not wait. That was 4 years ago, and the only thing that has changed really is the amount of patients that are in the program here in Georgia.
Yeah.
They still don't have access to safe medicine.
No.
They still is nowhere in the state for those patients that have only grown in numbers to actually get the medicine that the state says they can have.
I was watching a rant on Instagram not too long ago about that, about how my card that I got for Georgia Medical, the most I could do is tell a cop I got
A card.
I got it.
And where to find me, like what my name is.
And where to find me. That's the most you can do with this card right now.
That's exactly right. I know plenty of people that have still got arrested because flour is not legal here in the state.
No.
So you don't have access to that. You're not supposed to. And the medicine they say you can have, you gotta go. These patients are forced to commit a federal crime in order to get the medicine that they need, that the state says they can have, because they got to go out of state and bring it back in state in order.
Unless you're Allen Peake. Allen Peake does not.
Right. Well,
there are
obviously there are people here with privilege because they awarded licenses to only a certain group of people here in Georgia.
And that's no knock on Allen Peake, but it's just a fact. My man jumped in
the
a
facts,
my
and
man
he'll tell you
jumped
that.
Yeah, he'll tell you that.
Yeah,
He
that's
jumped
right.
in a plane.
Cool dude, though.
Came back, had it in his hand. It was almost like watching. Well, not almost, but it was almost like watching George Bush when he had the crack on his.
Yes, yeah.
Like
Flaunting it
you know
almost.
leaps and bounds you had to do to go get this illegal thing just to show me you have it.
That's right.
You felt
and got the press conference around it.
Yeah,
like it was a thing.
No handcuffs put on this man.
Yes, yeah.
But yeah, he does. Again, if you ask Allen Peake, he'll tell you the same story.
Yeah.
Like he understood that what he did was a huge
was his
crime.
privilege, was because of his privilege. And so I recognized by the end of 18 that living in a state where I didn't have access to medicine and I was going around the state telling people they should use this plant as medicine was probably not, for the best interest of my freedom.
Yeah. How do you feel about what's going on now in Georgia? I mean, we're still slow motion with the bill. I know, like you mentioned, they have awarded licensees in certain areas, but it's still, like I say, it's clock ticking.
Yeah, patients still don't have access.
2023 March.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? So how you
still
feel?
don't.
How you feel about it?
I feel sad. It saddens me because I know that there are patients, thousands of patients here that don't have access to the medicine that they need, and it saddens me. It breaks my heart. I know everyone is not as fortunate as I am to just pick up and move across the country to a state where I have access, and find a job and a career and grow and build in that new state because of the plant. So, and so that's how I feel. I feel sad for Georgia patients.
Well, there's still light somewhere down this tunnel because
Yes.
I feel like shout out to my boy Chris Brown. You always have to start somewhere, and that's what Chris always reminds me. You have to start somewhere. The start ain't always going to be glamorous in any way, shape, or form, but you got to start somewhere to get somewhere else. So, stay optimistic at Georgia.
Yeah.
But
Please do.
You made it to Las Vegas. Las Vegas is a different place, man.
It is. It is a different place.
What made you pick them in the first place? Like, did you just open up a map and throw a dart?
No, I did not. So that's a great question. The company I was working for at the time, outside of M4MM, because I was just volunteering my time and energy with M4MM at the time, was based out of Las Vegas. The founder, the CEO, had moved was from Las Vegas, but she had moved her company, her brand, from Oregon, which was where she was living, back to Las Vegas, Aura Ventures. And so I left Georgia with using that brand as my kind of vehicle. And I stayed at the corporate house for about a year before I found my own spot.
How did the climate do you?
I was in the hospital within the first month.
That's what I'm thinking. Like, it's the
dry
heat.
It's the dry heat. And I'm anemic, and so I just ran out of blood in my body.
Yeah.
You don't realize just how hot it is. Yeah. And this was April, May, so it wasn't June, July, August, which is, kind of torture in Vegas. It was springtime. So I learned really quick, like, you don't leave your house without water, key, cell phone, water. It's kind of just your mantra when you're living in the desert. So you get used to it, get used to it.
So how active have you been in Las Vegas when it comes to, just the cannabis scene overall? Because we're watching a lot of changes happen in Nevada.
Yes, we are.
That are pretty cool.
Yes, we are. Yeah. So as soon as I got there on the ground, made sure I connected with CEIC, which is Aisha Goins' organization, another women-led organization that's on the ground. They've been doing the work there in Nevada. And then hooked up with with Las Vegas Normal, and connected with some really amazing women, because the Las Vegas Normal chapter was led by a woman at the time. And about a year later, the two of the women from the Normal chapter started their own organization called the Chamber of Cannabis. And the Chamber of Cannabis is a 501c6, so it's a trade, business, nonprofit, industry organization. And M4MM partnered with the Chamber of Cannabis in 2021, and we were able to get consumption lounge bill passed finally in the state of Nevada. They've been trying for 6 years.
Is that Kima Ogden? Like, I was going to ask if you knew Kima.
Of course I know Kima.
Shout to Kima, man.
Yes, we love Kima. Kima owns Top Notch Health Center.
Yeah,
when you come out to
Top
Vegas,
Notch.
make sure you come to Top Notch Health Center. Yeah. Shout out. We love Kima.
Yes.
Kima will be carrying Black Buddha cannabis. We'll get into that later. But yeah, so when you go, that's where I shop. When I want to shop in the regulated market, I hit up Kima at Top Notch. So they're a great dispensary. They're also the only dispensary in the city that carries Takal. So when you come.
Like Method Man's Takal?
Yeah, Method Man's Takal. Yeah.
I love how he called it Takal.
I do too. It's so dope. I love that too.
What's that shit you smoking?
Takal. It's so dope. And so yeah, he chose her dispensary intentionally because she's the only Black woman in the state that owns a dispensary. So
isn't that wild?
Yeah. And that was another reason. So the consumption lounge bill that passed in 2021 that we worked on had social equity language in it. And so social equity is, we made sure that there were going to be licenses issued out to people that were most harmed and disenfranchised by the war on drugs.
How's that gone so far?
So they issued out 40 licenses. Those got selected in October.
I'm not laughing. I know people often think I'm a critic of social equity. No,
well,
I'm asking a real question.
We
How's
have
that
to
work?
be. We have to be critical.
Yeah.
No, we have to be because
work?
it's almost like when you are a lobbyist and advocate and you ask for the legislation to get written and it gets written and then they do it wrong. Arizona did it all wrong. But Las Vegas, Nevada is trying to get it right. And so this is kind of, the problem is, there's a lot, but so what happened was they decided that they were going to give out as many licenses that they gave to the dispensary, they were going to have to give out an even amount to independents. And so the independents licenses were going to be split 50-50 between social equity and just independent.
So when you say independents, do you mean like, is that say like people who are connected to the legacy market?
No,
like
it is not. So independent means you are not attached to a retail location.
Got it.
That's what in this sense means.
Okay.
So
somebody who's not attached to
a dispensary.
Okay.
That is correct. Yes. So if you don't have a retail license, then you are an independent.
Okay.
And then half of those independents were going to social equity applicants. Yeah. But in Nevada, they did not determine social equity based on race, ethnicity, your demographic, really. It depended on where you lived, your zip code. And you had to prove that you or a direct parent, sister, sibling was directly affected by the prohibition of cannabis.
And that's always going to be my issue with social equity. Is how
who qualifies?
It's how you define.
Right.
It's always going to be that. That's always going to define.
And they open it up to anybody in the country.
That's really.
Because,
so it's not just for people in Nevada.
Yes.
Okay.
Because you know why? Because they looked at what Illinois did. And Illinois that's what held up litigation in Illinois, was because they only allowed people within the state to apply.
Yeah.
And so each state that tries to look at other states and learn and say, oh, maybe we should do it a little bit differently after watching how they did it. I respect that, at least taking advice from somewhere else, but that's how they chose to do it.
I think it makes a lot more sense in Nevada because, especially like you say, Las Vegas, cities like Reno, those are cities where people are coming who are not from here. So I think it makes sense that they would try to open it up to other people because it's like, it just is what it is. But
there's more people than just people in Nevada that have been disenfranchised by the prohibition of cannabis.
True.
So you have to consider, litigation wise, that's why it got held up, because they sued the people that said, oh, it's not fair that you only chose people, and that's held it up in litigation. So, yeah.
It's not fair.
Right.
Yeah, whatever.
So,
and it's not fair.
And the other thing that when they say social equity,
how many MSOs were behind that one? It's not fair.
when they say social equity too, if the program is not set up to where you're giving breaks in fees and application fees and licensing fees to social equity applicants versus everybody else, then it also doesn't make sense, right? Yeah. They would have to pay less in order to participate because they have less. And so they did that. They did that as well. And we just lobbied to get the city of Las Vegas to change their proposition. They were proposing, they were going to pass regulation for the city of Las Vegas that they had to be 1,000 feet apart in distance, each consumption lounge. So you couldn't have like a strip like a bar kind of area, or like a hip downtown areas where they were trying to put them. So they were saying you have to be 3 football fields away. Now you already have these other regulations around these consumption lounges. They can't be within 1,500 feet of a gambling facility. Now, mind you.
So it's Las Vegas.
Yeah. Now, mind you, this is Las Vegas. Yeah. So there are licensed gambling facilities inside of Kroger. Inside of the grocery stores, inside of CVS. Like they're everywhere. So. That was one of the stipulations that was already on them. They can't be near churches and schools and so on and so forth. So this 1,000-foot distance between each licensed place or venue just didn't make sense. And they also were charging social equity applicants. What they wanted to do was charge you based on the amount of revenue that you were bringing in for your actual business licensing fees. And they don't have that set up for any other business.
How would you know that before you?
Well, after they were saying the first year they wanted everybody to pay $10,000 for this licensing, for your business license inside the city. And then they were going to charge you after that based on your revenue, percentage of your revenue.
So you basically price people out. It goes back to why the legacy market continues to thrive.
That's right.
You basically priced everybody out, and I'm just going to go back to my guy. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying?
And so how are you going to charge me to come in here and smoke or consume, and I can't bring my own?
Yeah.
And how are we going to make money, right? And another issue that came up was they have to buy their product from the dispensary. They can't buy their product from the production manufacturing facility. Now that was written into state legislation.
Now was that a safety reason? Like you was concerned about who's bringing what off the street?
No. That had nothing to do with it, because just like if you own a bar or a restaurant, you don't go to the grocery store and buy groceries. You don't go to if you own a bar, you don't go to the liquor store and buy your liquor to put behind your bar. No. You buy it from the wholesaler. Same concept. So if you own a consumption lounge, you should be able to buy it from the producer manufacturer, the same place the dispensary buys it from, not from the dispensary. And so when we were lobbying to get this law passed, the Nevada Dispensary Association refused to back the legislation, if they did not remain the middlemen. And so their members are, of course, owners, the dispensary owners in Nevada. And so they lobbied against us or them not being the middlemen. So that's already a setback for these independent lounges that are not attached to a retail location. And so we're watching that space very closely, but that was done in state legislation, so there's nothing we could do about it at this point. They're going to have to be creative with their business plan and how they plan on making money.
So it's a lot of hoops to have to jump through.
Yeah.
If you want to actually have this out. And I think it's an amazing idea. I'm pretty sure when they said we're going to have consumption lounges, there was a bunch of people with concepts and what they want to do. Yeah. And then you get thrown all these extras. Yeah.
1,000 feet away from each other, it doesn't make sense.
The 1,000 feet away is the one that really threw me off. The one that threw me off was they can't be by a licensed casino. Because again, if you ever just go to Las Vegas, you know for a fact that's how hard that is.
They're everywhere.
Yeah.
And that's why if you've been to Las Vegas in the last 2 years, 3 years, there's only one dispensary on the Strip. It's now a Cookies. Had been a couple of different owners before that, but it's just one, and that's for a reason. Like that other dispensary that's like in the middle of the Strip that you see, it's kind of like in a shopping plaza strip.
Is it Planet 13?
No. There's a dispensary, or what looks to be a dispensary, in the middle of the Strip. It's like within a couple of resorts. And it's fooling you because they charge to look at your ID before you get in and all that, but it's hemp flower that they're selling in there. It's not.
I was trying to think,
so don't be fooled, because the dispensaries cannot be on the Strip, y'all.
I'm thinking of what is the Strip, because I've been.
That's Las Vegas Boulevard.
Okay,
so the Las Vegas Boulevard is the Strip, and that's what runs straight. It separates the
When
city.
I was there last year, I was across the street from a Cookies.
So the Cookies is the only one on the Strip.
The one that's next to that Walgreens.
Yes, exactly. So that is the only one that you'll see like physically on Las Vegas Boulevard within that within that corridor
Yeah.
that we call it, that Las Vegas Boulevard corridor.
And I feel it because it's almost impossible to have a second one because you're talking about this
The
license.
1,500
Yeah,
feet. That's why. And if you
impossible.
notice where it is, like you said, it's next to the Walgreens.
Yeah.
So the closest resort to it is Sahara. That's right there on the corner, and it's across the street. So it's strategically placed right there in that spot. You imagine what the real estate on that is.
No, what I'm imagining is the type of money they had to spend to get that spot.
That's what I'm saying.
Because you're talking about a lot of lobbying. Yeah. Well, again, Cookies is printing money at this point, so they have the money to fight these kind of battles.
That's right. They do. They do. Absolutely. It's very fascinating to see what he's done with that brand.
He's made the Forbes list,
Yeah.
man. Wasn't he up there with
Right.
Jay-Z and
There's
all
never
that?
there's never been a cannabis brand CEO on the cover of Forbes except Burner.
I like how he's owned that too, because it's like, there's so many other things around Burner, from the music and other stuff. But nah, you branded
It's the
as
merch though. The merch made it global.
Yeah.
It's beyond the cannabis now.
Oh yeah, you see
Yeah.
people now with the backpacks.
Yeah,
the jackets,
all
the
of
shirts.
it.
You've been seeing that for a very long
the
time.
merch is is what kind of made him more of a global brand, I would say.
Man, look, that the Cookies logo in itself is very synonymous with, you know what I'm saying? Like
For people who are in the culture.
Yeah.
But you would have to imagine a kid who sees a cookie sweatshirt, they don't know the difference. They're not thinking cannabis.
I just thought to myself, are they now Apple? Like, you know how like the Apple logo
Yeah,
is just, you saw the Apple logo, you knew immediately what it is.
What it was,
So if
right.
you just see the cookie now, you know
Cookies.
immediately that's Cookies.
I mean, that's what he's done a brilliant job of that because
Yes.
it doesn't look anything like cannabis. It doesn't. You're not signaling or anything like that to cannabis. Nothing is synonymous.
Well,
with
he
it.
also played it right because rap played a big part in that. From the Wiz Khalifa cosigns to
Right.
like I've been listening to Cookies be promoted through music like this is the lone way of advertising.
That's
for a long way,
right.
it felt like.
Free advertising he
Yeah,
did. Free
yeah.
marketing, right? Yeah. Rappers been rapping about cookies for a long time.
For a very long time,
Yeah.
man. Shout out to Cookies, man.
Yeah. They just dropped Badu, the OG Badu.
Have you
They
tried
said-
it yet?
No, I haven't tried it yet. I wasn't here. I was on the West Coast when it dropped.
The
so
world went crazy.
I was
Was
here.
it this weekend or last
Yes,
week?
it was last week.
The world went crazy. I couldn't get off my
It was
Instagram.
on her birthday, I think it was, or something close to her birthday. I
Could
think.
not get
Yeah.
off my Instagram because
Yeah.
people was talking about this Badu.
Yes, yeah.
I've yet to see a review. Like, somebody
I mean, people
reviewed
say
it?
it's smoking, but so the thing is, okay, this is what you have to understand. So cookies in Oakland, in San Francisco, in California, period, is not going to be the same cookies in Las Vegas.
No, you gotta
it's
go
not
to
going to be
grower.
the same cookies in New York.
No.
It's just not. The plant is it's an adaptogen. So it adapts to the environment that it grows in.
And you also got to get it from a place that's growing in that place. Like,
Well,
you can't just
yeah.
You can't
no,
you
no,
can't
but
cross it.
genetic. No, you can't. No, you can cross genetics. So you can buy seeds now. So you can cross over state lines with seeds. That's
Okay.
not a felony anymore. But it's the finished product that you can't cross over state lines with. But seeds you can mail seeds now. It's fine.
That's what I was thinking. You can't move with plants.
Right.
Like if he wanted to bring
right,
the
but
plants that were
seeds
from
you
a-
can,
yeah.
and so that's what he's doing essentially, right? He's taking his seeds to different places, his different franchises.
But like you said, the
but it's who's
environment.
growing it
Yeah.
and how they're growing it. I have not heard yet that he's like trademarked a growing style because then that would bring a consistency to the marketplace of wherever you go. You're going to get the same product, but that hasn't happened yet. And it's because each state has different regulations, right? So in California, you can have more moisture in your flower than you can in Nevada. And so that's why that flower in Nevada is so dry. Everybody says, oh, it's so dry. Well, it's because they have different regulations on how much moisture you can have in the flower.
Now I'm thinking about Jamaica and why Jamaica weed's so dry.
I mean,
Same thing.
I don't think Jamaica's weed's dry.
I did. Like I was down there last.
Well, where'd you get it from?
A dispensary down there. I ain't
Wait.
gonna say which one because it's
Okay,
it's
so
gonna
wait.
tell
So
you
no,
where
no,
I
no,
was.
no, no, no.
But,
I'm not going to Jamaica to buy weed.
but I did. It was literally.
That's not
it was
happening.
literally right there.
No, mm-mm.
Now I
That's
did
not
get
happening.
some from a grower because I went to Orange Hill. So I
Okay.
did get some.
Okay.
I did get some from a grower.
I'm
but not
only
to
buying-
give myself away.
I'm
There was a
only-
dispensary where I was at. It just made it super convenient.
I'm only going to the mountains and getting my flower from the Rasta, man.
Boy, look.
When I'm on the island, like I mean, but that's me, right?
God.
I will not. I'm not gonna buy from the kid that's selling on the corner. I'm not gonna
No,
buy
the
from a
kid on the
dispensary
beach.
On the beach.
on
the beach.
They run up to you like this is a gas station.
Right. No, it's definitely gonna be. I will take a trip
Yeah.
up into the mountains just for some good lamb's bread.
I took that trip. I was up there, and like I said, we went to Orange Hill, and buddy,
Yeah.
when they say it's on a hill, you kind of don't really put that into context until you're going up the hill.
That's right.
And I'm like, all right, so I'm slipping and sliding. Y'all doing this in the middle of the night. There's whole like separate little rooms. You got the room where everything's drying out here. Then you got the plants over here. I'm like, bro, I ain't doing all. Much more respect to y'all for how you grow this and how you've been keeping this away from police for so long.
It's their medicine. It's sacred to them. And one of the things that we have to recognize with this culture, I'm an advocate for decriminalization. I'm an advocate for legalization, but for the government to stay out of it, right? Because I'm a big fan of the small craft grower. And the same goes for on the islands and where this plant grows indigenously. These land-raised genetics, we wouldn't have them if it wasn't for the Rastafarian community.
Yeah, but that's going to be a fight. Because I feel you about small craft growers, but you talk about a fight.
Well, we're the ones that have to do the fighting.
Yeah.
We are the ones, the consumer. If we allow them to come in, regulate this flower, then in 10 years, the only flower you're going to have access to is Walmart weed. And that's not what you want.
No, it's not what you want. But, you run into, like you said, we got the MSOs now. And shit, what's the one that's going up crazy right now? Truly. Yeah, Truly's running through a shit ton of problems. You know what I'm saying? So, but it still feels like you're never going to get rid of them. Like they just keep popping
They're not
up.
Going anywhere.
They're not going anywhere.
They're here for the long run, and they've got the long money to stay around.
And it goes back to why it'd be so hard for craft growers
to stay alive.
I remember when John Boehner finally left the Senate, and this is a man who was anti-weed his whole entire life. Yeah. And it didn't even
then
take
he started dropping videos. Remember that?
Didn't even take him months.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Remember that?
It barely took this man months to say, all right, now I'm on this side.
Yeah.
All it takes is that
him
money.
And Montel, and then they hook up. Somebody like that.
Bruh.
It was a whole thing, though.
I thought it was hilarious when I saw that because I was like, oh, so this is where we about to go with this.
I mean, and it has. Think about what that was 5 years ago. That was from 5 years ago. Think about where we are now.
Isn't it crazy how quick that was? I feel like in cannabis, we age like in dog years.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like that seemed like such a short time ago, but in that short time, so much has happened around it. It just shows with my career. Like in 5 years, I went from, starting a chapter in a southern state and then moving to the West Coast and managing all these states and, bringing other states on board and online. I was in Hawaii twice last year. Hawaii is such an amazing, beautiful place. How was the weed in Hawaii?
Hawaii was amazing. Okay. The Dole pineapple farm is there. The plant is there. But I ate more guava and pineapple and, papaya than I could count. But really it was about being able to visit a cannabis farm where they're growing actual Maui Wowie and these amazing genetics that you would only be able to get in Hawaii.
I love going to grows.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's become my new thing.
It's like when you get there.
It is. Especially like you say,
the smell.
I like home grows. Like I ain't gonna give away my boy. My cousin has a dope home grow in Boston. Yeah. Walking through the basement, I was like, oh,
so amazing.
This is amazing.
Yeah.
I love this. That grows my
The experience of walking into an airport hangar full of plants is one thing, but the experience of walking into like something that's small and intimate, you can feel the energy from the plants, right?
Always.
They'll get to give off that certain energy and vibe, and you can feel it.
Always.
And it's just a big difference than walking in where this big old grow versus the small intimate grows.
I do like small intimate. The first time I saw a small intimate grow, I was in DC. And shout out to my man Brandon Wyatt, and it was a whole group of us. But the first time I saw a grow was in DC, and that shit was beautiful. Yeah. Like, again, walked down the basement, and I thought to myself, so this is your man cave. Like, you can really walk over here, grab a bud, roll up while you watch TV.
Yes.
Like, I need this life. That's the life I would love to live.
Yeah. I mean, I envision that on somewhere tropical outside.
Yeah.
These land-raised genetics is where it's at for me. That's still my passion project. I don't know if I talked about that the first time I was on here. But telling the story of those tribes, telling the story of those Rasta tribes and families that kept those genetics alive. I want to tell that story. Yeah.
So you're now, I guess you're now used to living in Las Vegas. Is Las Vegas the last stop for you? Like, is this permanently home?
No. Far from it. I'm supposed to be in Africa. I'm supposed to be, close to the equator as I can get, and somewhere tropical and black and hot.
Where are we going in Africa, though, man? Every time I hear somebody say Africa, I think of T-bars and belly. Like, we got to go to a place. You know what I'm saying? We can't just go to Africa. Where are we going in Africa?
There's so many to choose from.
South Africa's growing now.
It is. Yeah, they've decriminalized, and they've got hemp growing there strong. They're making all kinds of products and things like that, trying to get it right. But what I've learned is, and the issue is, the government still does not recognize and understand the value of the genetics that they have there that are native to that land. And so the hemp that's growing in South Africa right now, they're importing seeds from Germany.
Really?
Yes. Yeah, and it hurts my heart to even say it because they are saying, oh, it has to be a certain amount of THC. So the only place they can get these genetics from is going to be from Europe. And so they're growing European weed in Africa.
Smoking German in Africa.
Yeah. And so it hurts my heart to even know that they're doing that. But so I sit on the board of the Chamber of Cannabis, but I also sit on the board of ACHEM, Association of Cannabis Health Equity and Medicine, run by the Knox doctors. Shout out to my ACHEM family. And we've got projects that we're working on the continent in several different countries, utilizing and partnering with the monarch families that reign throughout the continent. So the monarch families in Africa and different countries have their own power because they own land there. And so when the government sits and meets, when elected officials have to decide on what they're going to do with different land and projects that they're going to do in that country, they have to consult with the monarch families, which are the tribal families, the royal families of the continent. And so we've been partnering with them to help bring projects and research projects to the continent. So
that's dope.
Excited about that.
I was just thinking about mine. I need to speak to my man, Dr. Jean Talleyrand.
Oh, I love Dr. Talleyrand.
Because me and him got into a brief conversation about Haiti, and I got a friend of mine who's native of Haiti. She's definitely politically active down there. And I want to have this conversation with her so much, but I'm pretty sure she's going to tell me about the corruption. But I feel like that should be a country that should be growing.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely should. It grows everything else so good. Right?
Yeah. You talk about taking back your voice. Like this is
the
country that took back their voice for real. You know what I'm saying? Like let's start reclaiming that.
Anywhere close to the equator, the plant just grows, like a wild weed, right? It grows everywhere. All you got to do is throw some seeds down and it's going to grow. And that's truly understanding the value of what you're growing on that land. You can't grow it anywhere else. That's what hurts my heart so much about Jamaica. Like, why are you growing it in a place where you allowed your genetics from Jamaica to be taken to Canada and grow instead of growing in Jamaica and just shipping it out, right? You're providing jobs, you're providing opportunities, and you're not even allowing them to do that.
That's another story I'd love to take a deep dive in, like how Jamaica is trying to, or what are the plans for Jamaica to kind of get the legacy growers there to be actually involved in this industry you're trying to grow. Right.
Yeah. I wish. That's what I wish. I wish that they understood the value of what they have there, because you can't grow Jamaica weed in Canada. Like, you just can't. It's not going to be the same plant. It's not going to be the same genetics. There's no solar panel. There's no fake sun and lights and wind that you can recreate in Canada
to make it feel like it's Jamaican.
And so the plant is going to know that it's not in Jamaica anymore. Not growing outdoors in that beautiful sun and sand.
The plant's like, hey, man.
Right.
Hey, man.
Right. It's a little cold.
What are we doing?
Right. Exactly. So there's some countries that have gotten it right. SVG, they're growing. They say that if you come there and own a license, 51% of it has to be to a local, somebody who's from St. Vincent and the Grenadines. That's the right way to do it. And then you just grow it there and you ship it out. Yeah. Don't send your genetics elsewhere. Don't sell your genetics to folks. Like, what you're growing there is so much more valuable.
That should be the new slogan, or the next slogan. They say don't sell grandma's house. Don't sell your genetics.
That's right.
Like, that should be the next.
Yeah,
the
keep
next
it in house.
Keep it in house.
Yeah, for sure.
Speaking of, one of the things you've also had a chance to watch happen is Black Buddha Cannabis.
Shout out to Roz again.
Yeah.
I love you. Love me some Roz McCarthy. So last year, Roz was inspired by a health scare. So the health scare happened 2 years ago. She was in a car accident and suffered a traumatic brain injury. And she actually called on me and asked me to come down to Florida, and I stayed with her for about 2 weeks.
I know the story. She told me in Vegas. I was like, really? I was like, Nicole's so cool.
She had, her adult children were out of the house. She just her baby had just graduated. So And she was blacking out, and she was scared, and really did not know what to do. And so I came down to Florida, and I said, of course, came down to Florida. We cleaned out her fridge. That was the first thing I did, and made sure she was eating whole foods, nothing processed, nothing out of a can, nothing frozen, those kind of things. And then we, put her on a regiment. It was movement. It was a part of that regiment, just walking around, because her body had gotten so stiff, and making sure that she was taking cannabis regularly. So we got her on a regiment, because even though she had started this nonprofit called Minorities for Medical Marijuana, she was not a cannabis user.
No, she doesn't consume. Well, she did not.
She did not.
She did.
Right,
she
exactly,
consume.
up until this point. And so she realized the void that had been created by the industry, and there was nobody talking to us. And so that's why she started M4MM. And she's a sickle cell mom. Shout out to her son. And she also lost her mom from cancer. And so in that time, she just realized that period she started M4MM in 2016, she knew there was nobody talking to us. And she saw this industry coming and growing, and wanted to do something about it, make sure that we were a part of it. And so not until 2 years ago, she actually started using cannabis regularly to help her manage the anxiety that she was feeling from the TBI experiencing. And so within 2 weeks, she was a new woman. She went from not being able to drive herself to being able to drive herself, and not scared to get out the house. And so it was a transformation. And so from that experience, I think she'll tell you she experienced a more spiritual connection and understanding, and the plant helped her do that. And so from that was inspired and was born Black Buddha Cannabis.
That really was a cool story. She did tell me that in Vegas.
Yeah.
When she told me about the part about where you came in, you cleaned out her refrigerator, and I was like, bruh, you're a good friend, but also, I pay money for all this.
It was just processed junk food. She knew it. She knew the deal. I mean, it's a matter of what you put into your body. Let your food be thy medicine, right? That's been my philosophy when I got diagnosed in 2017, and knowing that the food was going to heal me. And so most people don't understand what that means until they actually have to experience it. And it's transformative. Live electric food puts energy and life into your body, and so. And that goes along with the plant too, like being intentional. When she was taking the medicine, she's not trying to get high, she's trying to quell her anxiety.
Yeah, she's trying to get better.
Yeah, she's trying to fire off brain and synapses in her brain, and making sure that they're talking to each other. And mushrooms help with that as well. But it's all kind of plant medicines that can help energize and bring life to your body. And so that full understanding inspired Black Buddha. And so she launched in 4 states last year. We're working on the 5th state on Nevada now.
I saw her run through Massachusetts not too long ago.
Philly and Ohio. It's coming. So congratulations. I'm the national brand ambassador for Black Buddha Cannabis as well. So I'm so excited and watching it grow. So we're going to be launching in Nevada by 420. When you come to Vegas for 420, you should be able to get you some Black Buddha Cannabis.
That's wild, man.
At Top Notch. Shout out Top Notch again.
Shout out to Top Notch. Yo, it's so wild because you just mentioned 420 and how busy 420 is now.
Yes, that's right.
It's going to be almost like.
Make sure this year, please make sure if you're going to be anywhere near DC, the week of 420. So the April 18th through the 20th, we're going to be hosting our federal lobby days up at the Capitol in Washington, D.C. And then the 22nd, we're going to be at the National Cannabis Festival celebrating with them.
You guys tell me the dates again, because I was actually thinking about shooting up there for that. At least
please come. I'm going to be hosting the Psyche of Psychedelics panel in their psychedelics track.
When is this? You said the 18th?
The 22nd for the National Cannabis Festival.
No, not that.
But our lobby days are the 18th through the 20th.
There you go.
Yeah. April 18th through the 20th, that week before. Yeah. Come to DC. And if you're interested, make sure you reach out, because we're making sure people get registered. And if you want to learn how to be a lobbyist, like what it's like to be an advocate and go and talk to your legislator about legalization or decriminalization, then it'll be a great time to take a crash course in that.
That might be a cool trip to take. I'll figure it out.
Hang out.
I'm about to look at the calendar.
We're going to do an M4MM village at NCF too, at National Cannabis Festival.
I went to the very first one, but I haven't been to one since then.
Oh, it's about time then.
I don't know. I'm one of them people who I really dig experiences.
Well, this will be my first time.
And that's my thing. Once I do something once, I'm kind of cool. Unless it's really, 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 really amazing, I don't necessarily have to go back.
Right. Well, this will be my first, so I'm excited.
All right,
My
so
first NCF.
I'm about to put the 18th through the 20th on my calendar
Okay,
right now
yeah,
because I might
yeah.
pop in.
Just let me know. Just let me know.
I will, man.
We'll be set up.
You know what I love about you? You're a wildflower. You can just like kind of sprout them seeds anywhere.
You're absolutely right. I love spreading it around like a wildflower.
And you're gonna grow, man. Nicole, you've done a great amount of work out here. I'm pretty sure you're gonna be remembered by a lot of people for some of the things that you've done, even some of the stuff you don't even speak about. But what do you want to be remembered for the most when you are done? So you being an activist, being a lobbyist, and being a voice for this, if you're ever done.
Yep. Till I die.
Yeah.
To my last breath. So I want to be the end game is this passion project of mine, is the Keepers of the Genetics, telling that story. I want to be remembered for that, reminding people the role that the Rastafarian tribes played in this beautiful plant and its existence still on this planet today. But being an ambassador, that role will be filled by being an ambassador throughout the diaspora for this plant, and helping to remind our people the value of this medicine.
Nicole, I so care for you. Thank you so much for coming by the show
Thank you
tonight
for having me.
And spreading the good word of cannabis and what's going on in Las Vegas, and recalling the story that I already heard, but maybe other people haven't heard about you and Roz and how Black Buddha Cannabis came about.
Yeah. Thank you for having me. It's so great to be on the couch.
Yeah.
I was on the table last time I was here.
Yeah,
we couch is
we done
nice.
We done went from the hood to the suburbs just real quick. You see how we got better lighting.
Yeah, you know all of it. It's a vibe. I love the growth. You know, I'm so proud of you. And it's been a pleasure over the years, just because I see your growth and you know my growth.
Speaking of growth, I think I have a way that we could actually kind of synergize a little bit with the magazine, because there's a story that I feel like I'm gonna talk to you about.
Okay, let's do it. You know, I'm down. Thank you so much for having me.
No problem. Thank you for coming through. And that's CashColorCannabis, high level of conversation. And this episode has been sponsored by Canago. In partnership again with Canago, this month all of our listeners can receive $10 off their first order. Just use promo code CashColor10. Download their app on iOS and head to their website. Try Canago and see what they have for you. Let's be buds.
Hey. Let's be buds.